Order at 6:02 p.m. April 23rd, 2018. I'd ask everybody to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, if you would call the roll, please.
Ms. Taylor, Ms. Gass, Allen, Ms. Nominee present, Ms. Ellie, and Ms. C.
Present. Thank you. We do have a quorum. Item C on the agenda, I would entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda as presented.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
I have a motion and I would like to entertain a support at this time. Have a motion and a support to approve the agenda as presented. Any questions or concerns at this time? If none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Gass? Yes. Ms. Allen? Yes. Ms. Nominee, yes. Ms. C.
Yes.
And Ms. Smith.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item D on the agenda is public comments limited to 30 minutes. And this board would like to read a statement. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school's district's business, and it's not to be considered a community meeting. There is a time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda item. Pursuant to Board Policy 0167.3 G2, the board president or presiding officer may interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant's statement when the statement is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. Board Policy 0167.3 G2 also provides that the board president or presiding officer may request any individual to leave the meeting when that person behaves in a manner that is disruptive or unorderly conduct of the meeting. Thank you. At this time, public comment is open, and please give us your name and where you reside.
My name is Lou Ann Vidmar. I'm the UNICEF Director for the Michigan Education Association in Berry and Cass counties. And I would like to take this opportunity to invite everyone to the community forum, which will be held this Saturday here at Benton Harbor High School in the auditorium from 10 a.m. until noon. We need your input. We need to know what you want this school to look like. And we can't do it without your voices. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Teresa Dennis, and I am the first grade teacher at Hull International Academy at Hull. And we would like to read the letter. We are here, myself and my colleagues are here in support of Mr. Scoggin. And I'd like just to read a letter that we have drafted together. Dear Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education, we, the teachers of International Academy at Hull, would like you to know that we are strongly in favor of Brian Scoggin remaining as our district director of curriculum. He has provided stability and guidance as we implement our curriculum. Mr. Scoggin has helped the grade levels create pacing guide so that we are teaching the same thing at the same time. This means that although teaching styles will vary from room to room, the timing and information the students are exposed to does not. This is a big step forward in ensuring that all students are getting consistent exposure to the same education. We have been able to create common assessments that allow us to compare all students fairly. Our professional learning communities, PLCs, have increased their effectiveness under his direction, as teachers are now able to compare data and make plans for improvement based on this information. Mr. Scoggin has been an enthusiastic and visible addition to our school. He is quick to respond to questions and is open to hearing from teachers about concerns or ideas for a change. He is always looking for new ways to help our students grow and quickly, including introducing a Delta Math and Ames Web Plus products for assessments and reading mastery interventions. He has ensured we have met the state's requirement of an individual reading plan for each student reading below grade level. Our students deserve consistency and stability. We cannot continue changing leaders and curriculum as frequently as we have been in the recent past. It is difficult to judge the effectiveness of a new product before we can even give it a chance to see if it works. We respectfully request that you retain Brian Scoggin as our Director of Curriculum. Teachers from Hull International Academy.
Thank you. Anyone else at this time from the public wants to address this board? Okay, if not, thank you for your comments. Next item on the agenda, item number 2, Ms. Robinson, staff report number 1.
Good evening, board. Staff report number 1, acceptance of KitchenAid senior PGA donation. Reason for board consideration: the Board of Education must approve and accept all grants and donations to the district in excess of $2,500. Policy references noted. Facts and analysis: we would like to express our appreciation to the PGA of America and Whirlpool KitchenAid for considering a contribution for the youth involved in both boys and girls sports programs at Benton Harbor area schools. We appreciate and support such a generous grant. In order to formally agree to such a grant, we need to develop the proper materials. We would like to see a written grant agreement on how the funds will be specifically used and agree upon the process required for the collection and distribution of the funds, along with the proper reporting that will be required of the athletics department to the school administration, as well as for the PGA of America and Whirlpool KitchenAid. We will instruct our CEO to work directly with the school administration and Whirlpool and PGA officials to develop just such an agreement, and are confident we can achieve this in a short period of time. Again, we appreciate the opportunity to work with the PGA and Whirlpool KitchenAid on a wonderful grant opportunity. We would also like to share that officials from Whirlpool Corporation and representatives of the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board have had ongoing communications, and that we enjoy a solid working relationship with the company as we both strive to work together to help support the students and families of the Benton Harbor area. Recommended action: that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education gratefully acknowledges the above proposed donation and authorizes district administration to develop a plan for expenditure to be provided to KitchenAid and the senior PGA.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. I do have staff report number 1 before us, and I will entertain a motion for acceptance. I have a motion, and I will entertain a support. I have a motion and a support. Is there any comments or questions on staff report number 2 read by Patricia Robinson? If there are none, Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Gass? Yes. Allen? Yes. Conley? Yes. Ms. Peak?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
And Mr. K.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 3, Human Resources, Kelly Baptist, and I believe Ms. Hurlow if needed. Ms. Baptist, please.
All right, thank you and good evening, board. Staff report number 2, resignation of administrative staff. Reason for board consideration, the district received the resignation of the high school assistant principal athletic director on Thursday, April 19th, 2018. The recommended action is that per board policy 3140, the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to acknowledge the superintendent's acceptance of the resignation of Mr. Trey Crusoe.
Okay, thank you. Have staff report number 2 before us, the athletic director's resignation, and I will entertain a motion at this time for acceptance of the resignation. I have a motion and I will entertain a support. I have a motion and a support. Do I have any questions or comments concerning staff report number 2? If none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Madam Secretary, Ms. Baptist.
Staff report 3, resignation of administrative staff. Reason for board consideration, the district received a resignation and request to be released from his contract from Mr. Donald Pearson, the high school principal, on Monday, April 23rd, 2018, with his last day being Monday, April 23rd, 2018. The recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to release Mr. Donald Pearson from his administrative contract as high school principal effective today, April 23rd, 2018.
Thank you, Ms. Baptist. Staff report number 3 has been read for our consideration. I will entertain a motion for support. I have a motion and I will entertain a motion. Thank you, Trustee Taylor. Is there any questions or is there any comments at this time for staff report number 3? Okay, if none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Monahan? Yes. Ms. Speaks?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Yes. Yes. And Ms. Howard? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Ms. Baptist.
Staff report 4, resignation of support staff. Reason for board consideration, the district received the resignation of a paraprofessional at MLK, Ms. Shaniqua Davis, effective April 20th, 2018. The recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to accept the resignation of Ms. Shaniqua Davis, effective April 20th, 2018.
Thank you, Ms. Baptist. Staff report number 4 has been read for board consideration. I will entertain a motion at this time. I have a motion and I will entertain a support.
Support.
I have a motion and a support. Are there any questions or comments at this time concerning staff report number 4? If not, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Yes. Yes. Ms. Howard? Yes. Ms. Monahan? Yes. And Ms. Speaks?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Motion carries. Ms. Baptist, please.
All right, staff report number 5, appointment of interim principal at Benton Harbor High School. Reason for board consideration, with the Monday, April 23rd, 2018 resignation of Donald Pearson, Benton Harbor High School principal, it is necessary for the district to appoint an interim principal at the high school. The recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to appoint John Eric Adams, Benton Harbor High School Assistant Principal, as the interim principal of Benton Harbor High School, effective tomorrow, April 24th, 2018.
Thank you, Ms. Baptist. Staff report number 5 has been read for this board for consideration. I will entertain a motion at this time. I have a motion and I'll entertain a support. I have a motion and a support. Is there any questions or comments on staff report number 5? If none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Yes.
Bass? Yes. Allen? Yes. Lonnie? Yes. Ms.
Yes.
And Smith?
Okay, thank you, Madam Secretary. Motion carries. Item 4 on the agenda is Department 8 updates. That will be Brian Scott. If you would, please, sir.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
So the first of my department updates is really not a department update, more so an update about where we are with the blueprint. I think I heard President Seats talk in March about how this board really understands and is looking forward to systematic changes. And so this blueprint will help us achieve that here in Benton Harbor area schools. And so on this link, what you see is there is a hyperlink to a graphic around, some information around the blueprint. In a nutshell, the blueprint is NDE's, Michigan's model of school turnaround. And it really starts looking at the systems that's within a district and has those developed first. And then from the top, develop a building team between the district and the building. They start implementing these systems from the top down. You might think about systems as being like a body, and in our body we have all these different systems that keep us healthy. And just like our bodies, our school districts also have these various systems. And so part of the challenges within Benton Harbor area schools is some of those systems have not been kept up, or as we have changed some type of leadership, whether it's building leadership, whether it's district leadership, those systems have left and have a void in place. And so what we're trying to do is create these systems or these healthy procedures and processes on doing things such as curriculum, assessments, student well-being. And so I wanted to also give you a quick timeline update of where we are in that process. And so December, we had a district-wide meeting for anybody who was interested, staff, I believe a couple board members attended, as well as some community members attended. And we had a presentation by my Excel team's blueprint facilitators. And from there, we gathered people who were interested, and we developed a team starting in January. One of the very first things we did is in this blueprint process, they have multiple layers, and we're what's considered in the mechanical layer, mechanical stage, which means we're setting the foundation pieces. And so foundation pieces are like, how are we going to communicate? So we have to have a process for communicating effectively. And we really had to think about how we're going to do that. And for us, because we do a lot of things through email, a lot of communication through email seems natural for us. And so there's a 3-code process, and I'm not sure that that has been shared with you. It has. It has been shared with you through the weekly memo. And so the idea of that is we start gauging the importance of our emails. The 3 sections, the 3 titles are read, which is this information only, respond, necessary or required, and then action required by a certain date. That helps us prioritize our emails because we have a lot of emails who are flowing back and forth amongst staff, and this helps us prioritize those. And so then in December we began, January was our first meeting, and by the end of January we established our communication driver. We unrolled that and put that in use at the end of March 26th to be exact. We had that in process for 3 weeks, 4 weeks if you include spring break, and then we are trying to do a fidelity check to gather some input and some feedback around that communication protocol this Friday. It'll be in the weekly memo as well. If you're looking at your notes, you can see that in March, we started working on the curriculum visions for what does high quality instruction in Benton Harbor look like. And that's all content, math, ELA, science, social studies, and even the electives. And what that entailed was in March at our district PD, we actually got folks together K-12. And so we can all have a vision of what that looks like from K-12. It isn't necessarily what a high school math vision looks like, but what does math instruction K-12 as a district look like? And we had some really good conversation. And from there, we started putting together our visions of what high quality instruction looks like. Again, this is the very first stage or the foundation of building some systemic pieces. And so Thursday, when the district network team meets again, we will start working around student well-being. What is our vision around how do we help our students meet their non-academic needs? And then the final stage, a final piece of that mechanical stage is our talent management, and that's developing visions of the type of teachers that we're looking that can meet the visions of our instruction and the visions of our student well-being. Our goal is to have a fidelity check, which that's an outside person that comes in and says, let's see how well you're doing this. And it may be that they certainly will look at some documents, they'll look at some data that we've collected around fidelity-wise, and then if we get approved, if we meet that fidelity at the end of June, then we will start into the next session, or next section, which is the lobby level. And that's where the work really begins. And so it's important to point out that it isn't just this foundation that we're working on. When we look at various components of the blueprint, we really are working in sections all the way to the third or fourth floor. We're already working on things around instruction. We're already doing walkthroughs. We're already having some conversation around curriculum and whether this is the exact curriculum we need. We're also having some conversation around how can we improve our responses to students' non-academic needs as well. So again, that's just a quick overview of where we are. And I will share this one statement with you that on average, it is taking a school district a year and a few months to implement this mechanical stage, if you will. And for Benton Harbor, we're on track to do it in about 8 months. And so when we meet with Dr. Chandler, who is the guru of the blueprint, he's very impressed that we're moving through so very quickly because we have done a lot of this work before we started the blueprint. The blueprint lines up magically because of the work we've done with the blueprint or with the partnership. It lines up magically with the partnership. It focuses around what we focus around: our instruction, our academic success, our student well-being, teacher recruitment, and then our last one, which I draw a blank on. Leadership, thank you, leadership, because leadership development is from the top and helping buildings get their leadership in order. Any questions about the blueprint that I may be able to help you with? Remember, this was just a kind of quick overview, just to give you some timelines and some background information. Yes, ma'am.
Who is on the district team?
Who's on the district team? So we started with a district team of 15, including Trustee Gass, myself, Ms. Robinson. We have a couple teachers. We've had the Barry and Grease and my Excel team. We have the blueprint facilitator who's leading this work from the state level. We have the partnership agreement liaison. We have the assessment coordinator for the district. We have the superintendent before she resigned. And since then, we have come back and sent out some feelers, and we have reduced down to, I believe, 10 or 11 folks on this team, just because people have lost interest as we move through, which is normal. That was the reason we started out in March, because we knew people would lose interest as we move through the process. Yes, ma'am.
Are there any teachers that are still on the team?
Yes, sorry, yes, sorry. I was running through them in my head. There is, yes, still teachers.
One?
Correct. Correct. Other questions?
There are no questions. Thank you. Next item. Curriculum department update, Mr. Scribe.
So thank you for the opportunity to come before the board again and talk around the things that I'm excited around, and that is these moving forward with the curriculum and instruction and the assessment pieces. So first of all, as you know, standardized testing has begun, and it continues all the way for the rest of this month into May. One of the things that we're celebrating is our interventions, and so you can see here that before my beginning, interventions is not something that has regularly happened for a number of years, and so one of the things that we realized when we looked at data was we needed some interventions. And so beginning in September when kids came, we started working with K-5 around interventions and helping them do some testing from our Ames Web, and then took that data and drilled down into realizing that students in K2 didn't have letter sounds, letter IDs, and so we really worked on interventions that would help kids be successful in those areas. And 3.5, we were working around reading comprehension and fluency, and we were using a website called Florida Center for Reading Research, which is hands-on activities, which is free, and has had a lot of success from University of Central Florida. And from there, we moved into 2 pilots, and they're pilots because we wanted to see, we wanted to try a couple things before we rolled it out and bought it for the entire district. So a couple things we realized from our data was 1st grade was really struggling, and so was 3rd grade given the situation with all the subs that they have in 3rd grade. So these are the 2 areas that we started our interventions in, and they've been running about a month in OK and about 2 weeks at a whole. And so far so good. They involve a whole grade level collaboration, and they require kids moving from one teacher to another. And we've hired some additional part-time interventionists who are retired teachers that are paid for out of a early literacy grant that we were awarded from the state. Another intervention that we're working with, of course, I talked last month about Delta Math, which is a state initiative, which is hands-on. A new intervention that we have, and we're excited, I'm excited to get up and running, because it comes right back to Trustee Go or Vice President Goley's comment back in March around what are we doing to help support parents. And so this idea of Imagine Math will help our 3rd through 8th grade. And it is a computer program, but it takes math and makes it fun and exciting, kind of makes it into a game. But the most exciting thing is this program, this company, they offer 75 hours of certified teaching instruction up until 11 o'clock p.m. So if kids are at home and they're having trouble with some particular homework, they can get onto this website and the teacher, and there's some response back and forth. And then I was even told during my meeting with the Imagine Math salesman, though we didn't buy anything, that even in class, if you're sitting in a class and you have a question around some sort of content and the teacher's busy over there helping student A, the student, while they're on that program, could type in, and that teacher that's already online, that's bought paid for by this Imagine Math, will be able to respond back and forth and help move the Vice President Goley's comment about how are we helping. So you'll see that it is state supported. It is free for us for 3 years because we are a partnership grant. They've had a lot of success in the state of Michigan. And so my understanding is the state of Michigan reached out and said, would you be interested in doing this with our partnership schools? Of course, we said yes, because it's free, and it provides that support to families that we so desperately need. Other things that we are very excited about in the curriculum assessment and instructional area is we have finally developed a PLC handbook. And that turns out to be about 50 plus pages around how do we really conduct PLCs and set goals and monitor those goals. And then, of course, we have a Title I handbook that's in process. We also have a Title I schedule that's in process, the way we meet our deadlines for budgets, the way we start working around school improvement for the following year. Some of those things have always been a little haphazard, and so we're just trying in that area of curriculum instruction to kind of tighten them up and make one of those systems do what the blueprint has asked us to do. And then the other thing that's also in process is a course catalog at the high school. And currently there hasn't been for a number of years a course catalog. So when students come in and they want a particular field, here it lays out all the courses that they're going to need instead of kind of guessing or by chance. And so that's also being worked on as well. And that's almost in the final stages of being done. Another celebration is really summer school. I know Trustee Nami was a little apprehensive about how it was redesigned, but we really are getting a lot of kids who have bought in. We're at 65, and we've been gathering names for about 3 weeks, and so 65 students is, I think, pretty impressive. And we have 55 staff members who are signed on interested in teaching summer school. And so Kelly and I will start that process come May 1st around identifying who we have help with that. And then the proudest moment is when we've got this My Blissy grant. And My Blissy grant is a very competitive grant that's put out by the state that is around helping improve student behavior while also improving reading interventions. And so while my understanding is it's been in this district before, and then it's kind of wiggled its way out, this is one of those things that we really chased after. And the feedback that we got was it was very well written, it was very competitive. I'm sorry I don't have numbers for you about how many people, how many districts applied for My Blissy grant, but the important piece is we got it. And so we really ought to celebrate that things are really turned around for the Benton Harbor area district, that we really are making some gains. Any questions?
Yes. Trustee McGowan.
You can tell I was a first grade teacher. You said that, you know that the kids don't know their sounds, letter sounds.
They did not.
Right, so what phonics program are you using?
So we were not using a phonics program. We started using, because there was no program in place, Engage New York does have some phonics work to it, but we realized very quickly that we needed something additional. And so Florida Center for Reading Research has a lot of phonics activities that are free. And so we went in and really worked on that, and our letter ID and sounds really went from 98% failing to more like 60% being on grade level, or recognizing the required number of sounds and letters. And so recognizing that, we started with this idea around reading mastery, which is a phonics-based program, and helping kids with the interventionists really tackle those sounds and letter ID. So that's our tier 3 as we're moving forward.
So you are going to have a structured phonics program when you're talking about curriculum for next year?
So that's your decision, because it has to be approved by the board. If I'm in this position, the agreement is that we're running both of these programs to see which one best provides. Back to a comment made back, I think again by Vice President Gully last month, around what is best for our students, right? And so we're running these 2 pilots to find out what is best for our students, which one does produce the best gains and the best results. And from there, the goal is to purchase this program and make it K-5. But Ms. Trustee McGowan, one other additional piece is we have an interventionist in 2nd grade who is doing Orton Gillingham. So we're running actually 3 pilots to figure out which of these will be best and doing some work that way. So we're doing 1st grade is reading mastery, which is all phonics. We're doing Orton Gillingham, which is kind of both. I'm not familiar with Orton Gillingham, but I know it was in the district before. So there's been a lot of awareness about that. And then the reading mastery, or I'm sorry, the reading recovery starts off with phonics, but then it quickly, within less than 10, kids are up and reading. It's very quick. And that's what we're using in our 3rd grade. So we have a really good scale of where we are and what we think will work. Now we have people who are working, and we're already starting to see some huge successes at MLK around students being able to improve already. So we're looking forward to James Webb.
Trustee Nami.
Hey, you talked about the Union Florida Center for Reading Research Materials. You said that we're having success in phonics. What data, what criteria are we using to evidence that that is happening? So
this district, as I understand it, has used the paper pencil version of Ames Web, meaning there's some paper tests, and then you handwrite them and do some kind of long, what I would say kind of antiquated testing procedures. So one of the things that I was able to maneuver was in December, we actually purchased the electronic version of Ames Web, which means all that stuff is done on the computer. So we were trying to account for human error, because when you're doing paper pencil, there's more human error. So this is about training staff around how to give that assessment. And so that's how we're collecting our data, is through Ames Web. And Julie has access to that, or will shortly have access to that, so she can gather that material as well. So we both are cooperating, are in sync with sharing the same data that we're getting.
Yes. Trustee McGowan?
Well, Superintendent Robinson, you know which phonics program I lobby for. The one in the orange. That's the one I use. It's very basic, it's structured, it's what our kids need. When I was using it, it made sense to the kids. When I used it in my tutoring, the kids, when it makes sense, they just take off, they can blend words. I strongly recommend that we go back and look at that.
Other questions for me around updates from the Department of Curriculum Instruction or Assessments?
This time, we don't have any other questions, Brian.
Thank you for your
you
time.
so much. Yes, thank you. Next item on the agenda is technology. Staff report number 6, and then it'll be staff report number 7 from Gina Lovelace.
All I can say, it's my brain zone.
Good evening. So, the IT department in the month of March, we got all the proposals, or no, we put out the proposal for telecommunications. We now have those in. We have gone through all of them, and tonight you will see on your agenda, I have a recommendation to approve one of the proposals that we've received. We've received 8 proposals for a new phone system, paging, and bells in all of the instructional buildings and new phones in the other buildings that are occupied. Kind of your normal IT stuff. We just make sure all the labs are ready for MSTEP. Really the month of March is making sure that MSTEP testing goes off without a hitch when we start that. So a lot of that is preparation for that. We did use some of the older laptops because we haven't gotten as many parts in as we wanted. Some are on back order and some we have to order in small quantities and wait for them to come back in. So we've taken some of the older or the broken laptops to fix other laptops to get more back in service for at least the high school students. We completely shut down the WLAN network. We've had some trouble with that throughout the year, and it was time, we had moved over to a new network, and it was time just to shut the old one down, so we did that. I had a meeting with the Southwest Michigan Planning Commission. We had a really good conversation about our fiber, and moving forward, that's going to be probably a longer term project, but he's a really good partner. That association is a really good partner to bring to the table. He has a lot of far-reaching entities that can help us. So MSU does a lot of research stuff that can help us identify how we want to use it and what our next steps might be. So I've started the conversation on that. I'm still waiting for the access points to come in to install Dream. I just sent another email today asking where in the process we are. That I did not hear back. The championship celebration video and AV setup, that was a big deal. And we knew it was a big deal. We wanted it to go off with a hitch, without a hitch, sorry. and I have to give props to Jeff and Bud, because I don't know if you were there and you saw the video that was played. They made it. So it was not, I thought it was going far beyond their work duties to make sure that everything was over the top wonderful. And I just have to give them huge props for pulling that together and making sure everything worked for that celebration. So that's why I love my team. They're awesome. We've been building some more, built more homebound laptops. We just have to make sure that they're ready to all connect to the internet for students that are homebound. We've got probably about 12 to 15 laptops out right now for homebound students. Unfortunately, some of our work, some folks aren't as confident with their technology, so we have been asked a couple of different times to show up to a classroom to make sure that smaller things work, because I think teachers are scared that it won't. So we've been trying to be very accommodating for some of those requests of just kind of being present and being there in case. As you can see, I have shared with you, I've created a spreadsheet. Now, I warn you that this is, it is a small font when you print the whole thing out. This is my brain dump. I am not your business office person, but I'll go through this next. And the links within the IT update go to specific tabs that are within the bigger spreadsheet. So I will explain some of that stuff now. Any questions about my IT update before I go into staff reports? Nope. So the staff report 6, I'm going to, this is not the correct page. This should not be Green and International Hall. This should be the other 3 buildings. So this, are we allowed to change what buildings are affected in the staff report now, or do we have to redo that? The reason for board consideration is going to be because, yes, DEC, MLK, ACA, and the high school students are in need of some updated technology equipment. We're working on a device refresh system for those buildings. The amount of, I probably have one that's got better language when you see all the equipment in just a second. Those buildings were given, 3 of those buildings were given over $100,000 for technology updates out of the title funding. And I have put together in the spreadsheet a plan to move them forward in a device refresh. $100,000 does not refresh the entire building for any of the buildings, but it gives us a good start. So this is a 2 to 3 year project that we'll be doing in these buildings. I've talked with, as I talked with Dr. Teasley last week, we're a little behind the ball in getting this stuff ordered, and that was concerning to me. So the comment that she made, well, we should have ordered this in August, I went, whoa, wait a minute, I've got to rethink this timeline then. So that made me dig deeper, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So I ended up calling Andrea. That's it. I'm like, I knew her. So I ended up calling Andrea Nessel from the title office and worked through some things in my mind with her and got a lot of clarity. She recommended that we try to get these purchases on order ASAP, and as long as they are available for student use by the end of summer school or for summer school, that we are in compliance. And then moving forward, what I have done is I have created a budget moving forward so that next year's title technology will be ordered in August or September of actually this year. So that will put us on the right track. I had a lot of questions around that, and I got a lot of clarity. So what I'm asking you for tonight is that that you approve a recommended action to purchase the devices as listed below. So we would be spending, I'm going to spend $60,000 buying devices for kindergartners that are going to the DEC building. International Hall currently has Chromebooks that are convertible. They can be a tablet or a Chromebook. The 3rd graders moving there, it doesn't make sense to move devices at International, but the kindergarten teachers have gotten used to having the convertible devices and like them. So I want to make sure that they're accommodated. So we'll be purchasing the $60,000 of the convertible devices for the kindergarten teachers. And then MLK is using some of the oldest technology in the district. So I think it's fair that we start their replacement plan. So their devices come up to $104,490.
ACA is also using a lot of old technology in the district, and we should replace their devices for $124,000. And then the high school, we see so much damage and other things that come out of the high school. I think it's a good piece to put in place that we start working with teachers closely. But the newer Chromebooks have a different keyboard than what has been traditionally purchased, that you can't pick the keys off as easy. So they're going to have to really work a little harder. I've been told a lot harder to get the keys off. So I'm hoping that that will help deter, and again, continuing to work with the staff to monitor that kind of damage and vandalism.
Okay, if you would read staff report number 6 for us for consideration for support, Ms. Lovelace.
So the reason for board consideration is ACA, BHS, and MLK student devices are in need of updated technology. Last year, we started a replacement cycle of student devices. This year, we will need to continue with that plan, replacing devices at ACA, the high school, and MLK, because last year we did International and Green. The amount of title funding budgeted for those 3 buildings will not be a complete device refresh for any of the buildings, but will be a good start. Based on the future title budgets, the refresh cycle will be completed in 1 to 2 years. All purchases will be covered through Title I funding, and I have found that it will be approved. That was a real stickler for me, because I didn't want to put us in the situation we were in last year. So the recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education vote to approve a purchase not to exceed $405,000 for student technology.
Thank you. We do have staff report number 6 that has been read before us, and I will entertain a motion at this time for acceptance. Have a motion, and I will entertain a second, please. Have a motion, and I have a support. Any comments or questions concerning staff report number 6? Yes, trustee Momini.
We'll be able to get these in about a timeline on some.
As long as we had summer school, I said, if we didn't have summer school, I wouldn't have placed the order. That was the deciding factor why I needed to talk to Andrea. When she said that summer school would be fine, it's no problem.
So we'll get it in time, not fall.
Yep.
Any more questions or comments? Yes, trustee Taylor.
I know, I don't know if this is on, but I talk loud. So, you talked about vandalism, and I think, in the past, Vice President Gully and myself, we said, you know, you can easily stop that, because we do have a policy, 7440.02 for vandalism, where we charge the parents and everybody else for the destruction of property. Not only that, I think, it was mentioned in the past about books, right? Just even graduate, like for us to walk the field, we have to pay our fines. So there should be I don't know if there's a small deposit, whatever you want to call it, for use of the laptop. That way we can help, because we're spending all this money for somebody carrying up keys and stuff like this, and I think that's kind of, it's a good thing, because we need to help the student, but it's a bad thing if we don't teach a lesson.
Agreed.
So I think for this board, we need to enforce the policies of vandalism, and maybe make there be a minimal deposit or whatever for the PC. And I mean minimal, it could be $10 or whatever it is, like something, but it's gotta be consequences.
Any other questions or comments? We do have staff report number 6. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Cass? Yes. Ms. Allen? Yes. Ms. Monahan? Yes. Ms. Gully? Yes. And Ms. T.
Yes. Motion carries. Staff report number 7. Ms. Lovelace, please.
Staff report number 7 is the approval of the telecommunications RFP proposal. Our reason for board consideration is our current phone, paging, and bell systems are outdated. Example paging systems, I have to go to eBay if I need parts, and they're hard to find. Policy reference would be 6320 for purchases. Facts and analysis,
The telephone system, building, paging, and bell system we currently use in each building are outdated and beyond repair. An RFP went out in February and bids from 8 companies were received. It is the recommendation of the technology department that we award the bid to Moss Telecommunications for a new phone, paging, and bell systems in all buildings that currently provide instruction. The proposal also includes non-instructional buildings for transportation, skill center, and the administrative center for phones and paging. The recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the proposal for a new phone system, paging system, and bell system for all buildings as stated above to Moss Technologies.
Thank you, Ms. Lovelace. We have staff report number 7. I will take a motion for acceptance.
I move to accept staff report number 7.
Have a motion, and I'll entertain a support. Have a motion and a support. Any questions or comments? Ms. Momini?
What's the amount of this?
The amount of the bid was $219,000, which it will be less than that. It included a lot of extras, and it also included Dream Academy and a separate system for the admin center. So we need to figure out the timing of the moving of the admin center on, do we put a new phone system in there for a month and then they move? Or do we move and they move into the high school that has a new phone system? It's gonna be a funny timeline. It's been an interesting RFP season, trying to explain, this is on the bid, but it might not be a building we do, so.
So this money is coming from?
The Safe and Secure grant.
Yes, trustee Taylor.
So Dream Academy is excluded.
Dream Academy was part of the proposal,
I mean,
but it will be, moving forward, it will be excluded, so that will be, money that we will not be paying out.
So do we have that tally? I mean, when we vote for the entire amount, we can come back and take it out if we don't use it. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. And I actually had that conversation with them today. They said typically once they know that it's been awarded, we go back through with a fine tooth comb and say, okay, we know we don't need Dream, and come up with a more accurate number.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Allen? Yes. Mommy? Yes. Ms. Gully? Ms. Seeks?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
And Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Thank you. Staff report number 7 passes. Thank you, Ms. Lovelace.
Thank you.
Item number 5 on the agenda is board business. And I have asked Ms. Vice President Gully if she would to read the Stacy's Grill letter to the Liquor Commission for discussion.
Arnold Nichols is the new owner of Stacy's Grill. This is located at 1699 Colfax, which is close to ACA. He is wanting a liquor license in order to be able to serve wine and beer at the restaurant. The Liquor Commission suggested that he contact the school district to see if the board would write a letter of approval for him to receive the liquor license.
Okay, thank you, Vice President Gully. We do have a letter of request that has been submitted to the board, and also you all will find that is included. You also have attorney-client response within in your agenda, and you also have the state law MCL-436-1503. Is there any discussion at this time? This is not up for approval for this evening, but for discussion. Yes, trustee Taylor.
So do we have hours for that? Like, is it after lunch? Dinner?
That is something that,
received the phone call. He didn't go into actual hours, but my understanding.
okay, if we could get the actual hours, if you would, please, that would help the board to further discuss. Anyone, trustee Mitchell?
I don't know Mr. Nichols, but I know that 2 years ago, When the B&M Market opened, they had applied for a liquor license, which is across the street in the strip mall from ACA. And at that time, the board took the position because he wanted to sell packaged liquor, that was not appropriate. So we did go before the Liquor Commission in Lansing, and I made the point to the commission on that issue, but they are allowed beer and wine license at D&M, which is across the street also. And over the years, there has not been a problem with our students going back and forth on the Napier corridor. And Stacy's Grill, if I'm sure some of you have noticed, that is the most protected building in Benton Harbor, St. John Township as far as police officers. They, from Benton Township to the state police on a daily basis. So, I think that when this does come back for consideration, that I would support it.
Thank you, Trustee Mitchell. Anyone else from the board for the discussion for this evening? Thank you. If you would get that information to the board, appreciate it. Item number 6 on the agenda is a closed session, personnel matters, attorney-client privilege per the Opens Meeting Act. I will entertain a motion to close, to go out of open session into closed session for personnel matters with attorney-client privilege.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session for personnel matters concerning attorney-client privilege for the Open Meeting Act.
Okay, I do have a motion. I'll entertain support. I have a motion and a support. No questions or comments? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mommy, yes. Dolly? Ms. Dees?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols? Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Yes.
Yes.
A motion carries at this time, at 6:59, the board is going into closed session. Thank you.
motion to come back into open session.
We have a motion and a support to come back into open session. Madam Secretary, please call the roll. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Gass? Bonnie? Yes. Ms. Dunn? Yes. And Ms. Sweet?
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. We are now back into open session. Item 6 on the agenda, there are no board president comments. Item 7, comments from board members. Trustee Taylor, excuse me.
None tonight.
Trustee Gass. And Trustee Momini. Okay, and Vice President Gully. No comment. And I believe Trustee McGowan, do you have any comments, Trustee McGowan? No comment. Okay, at this time on the agenda, is there any, other, under other, do we have any items? No items for discussion or under other, item number 9, board announcements or reminders.
We can take another meeting next Monday. Monday?
Yes.
Yeah, on 30th, yeah.
Okay, okay. So we do have a meeting next Monday.
And administration is supposed to be going over the policies, so that we can, finish that, after we do our part of the partnership.
Okay, so we do have a meeting next Monday and regular board meeting on next Tuesday. So are there any other announcements or reminders from any board members or any staff members at this time?
I'd like to remind you that I would like to remind you to close the meeting.
Oh. So we're gonna get you your own show, okay? So yes, Trustee McGowan. Next Monday, I do believe the board meeting is gonna be at the administration building. And the regular board meeting, of course, will be here. Okay, thank you. I will entertain a motion for adjournment for tonight's meeting.
Move to adjourn the meeting for tonight.
I have a motion to adjourn, and I need a support. I have a motion and a support. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Gass? Yes. Ms. Dunn? Yes. Ms. Bonnie? Yes. Ms. Dunn?
Yes. The meeting is adjourned. This has been Arbor Area School Board at 8:16 p.m. Thank you.